Hi, I'm Phil Palucha from Billionaires in Boxers, and you are about to engage with Up Level Your Communication, hosted by Miluna. Wow, this is going to be powerful. Communication is at the heart of everything that is good about business and about sharing with your fellow humans, and Miluna is phenomenal at helping you share that message and also interview some pretty special and amazing guests too. Check it out right now.
Welcome to Up Level Your Communication. I'm your host, Dr. Miluna Fausch. Listen to the music of your soul. Your voice matters, and on this show, expert guests will talk about the voice and intentional, enlightened communication, because this is how you will influence and impact the world. Welcome to Up Level Your Communication. My guest today was a poker player, emergency room nurse, and professional scuba diver. She is also a wife and a mother of 3 boys, I know, and that leads us directly to pancakes. You'll find out. She's calling in today from Los Angeles, and she is making it easy to say yes to fun food. Now, I know you want to stay tuned and hear this conversation, especially because it's about pancakes. So, welcome to the show, Sari Kern.
Thank you so much, Dr. Miluna. I am honored to be here.
And I wore pink to celebrate because she's the pink-haired pancake queen. Do you love that? And we'll continue to talk about that. First question, why pancakes?
So when you were a kid, do you remember the best breakfast you could possibly have in the morning is pancakes? That is the exciting breakfast, something that gets everyone around the table and everyone excited. Now, as a mom, I care deeply about what my kids are putting in their mouths. And I wanted to find a way to make breakfast healthier, more nutritious, give them good energy for the day. And I needed a good delivery system for the nutrition. And I could have picked anything. But what is more fun than pancakes? So that's the direction I went in.
What I love is this is not an either or. This is not an unhealthy pancake. It's all. I don't like all or nothing. This is everything, all rolled up into fun. Now, I love the story of the name of your company. So it's Zen Stax. Now, for those of you in Southern California, you get that. You get that. I lived there as well. So Zen-Stax. You gotta love it. How did that come about it? Tell us the story of Zen Stax.
Oh, gosh. So I started the company 20 weeks pregnant with my 3rd boy. So you have to understand, I was completely sleep deprived. And I went downstairs 1 a.m. This idea came to me just in the middle of my sleep. I was trying to figure out, if I went into business, if I went into a food business, what would it look like? And I knew it was going to be pancakes because I had already come up with these recipes, but there was nothing super special. There was nothing to grab people. And in the middle of the night, I thought about a wet batter. So instead of frozen pancakes with preservatives or mixes that you have to do all the work and you have all the dishes, it is a wet pancake batter in a pouch. They make waffles as well. And you just take the pouch, defrost it, pour and flip. Now, for me, what that brings up is feelings of zen. I don't have to mix, measure, do any dishes. My kids are happy. They're eating their breakfast. I'm not asking them to have another bite of oatmeal. It is a zen experience. And I knew that there would be something around that. Then the visual that popped into my head were the Zen rocks that you see at the beach. People stack the rocks and it's very Zen and it's balanced. And one of our taglines from early on is balancing indulgence and nutrition. So Zen was always kind of there. And then I thought about stacks of pancakes. I can't take full credit for the Stax, Stax. As you mentioned, I was a poker player back in the day, and I have a side group. I don't play as much anymore, but one of my friends, Craig Beatty, his alias on our poker app is Fat Stax, Phatstax. So 2 nights after I came up with the idea for the business, we're playing and I saw his name sitting there and I was like, oh my gosh, that's it. Zen Stax. This is the name of my company. This is perfect. And as a side note, there's another dude in my poker group, Akshay Satish, and his company is Zeksana. And I remember talking to him early on about good names for companies. And he said he read somewhere that as long as you have a Z and an X in your company name, it's bound to be successful. They have some weird percentage of a higher success rate. So it checked all the boxes. And it's a company name that I really thought a lot about.
You love that. To my audience, do you love that? It's strategically proven. It's fun. It's her. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. You'll never forget it. Zen Stax, right? Just think we'll use our sexy Zen Stax. It's fabulous. Now, why did you decide to start a food company?
That's a really good question. I have been in healthcare for most of my adult career. I have career ADHD, as I think you pointed out. So I was a diving safety officer. I was a poker player. I went into emergency nursing. I was a CNA. I was on an orthopedic floor, literally wiping people's butts for a year of my life. And food always came back to all of these things. So how do we nourish ourselves? How do we give ourselves energy for what we're doing? The type of scuba diving I was doing required a really healthy diet. I had to be in triathlon shape because it was decompression diving and you had to carry really heavy tanks. So it was really about nourishing your body. And I wanted to make sure that I could spread these ways that I have found. I've kind of hacked my dietary life. And I want to spread that with the world because I feel like there's way too much of this. What do we take out? What do we not allow ourselves to have?
Yes.
What are we sacrificing? And that's the essence of diets. And I've been through that. I've had unhealthy relationships with food. But once I learned, and it was a practice, but once I learned about how to add rather than subtract, I kind of hacked the whole, day-to-day eating process. So by adding superfoods to things like pancakes, you take something you love, and we use less sugar too. But it's not like it's lacking in sugar. There's no preservatives. What do you taste when you eat There's nothing that you taste. We freeze it instead of adding chemicals. There's easy ways to do this. But nobody's really been doing it that way because the industry very much encourages you to make it cheaper and easier and more shelf stable and all these things. So I'm really on a mission to disrupt the entire industry and find better ways to find our nutrition. How do we get more protein, fiber, and omegas in something that is traditionally just wheat and sugar? It doesn't have to be that way. And if we think about all these things we can add to make our lives healthier, then we're going to feel better. We're going to look better. We're going to be healthier.
I love this. Adding and not subtracting. I used to be a holistic health counselor, intuitive, and people would say I need to go on a diet. And I would first stop the use of that word. I said, that's a 4-letter word with die in it. Diets won't work because it's deprivation. I can't have this. I can't do that. And they said, well, how do you stay thin? I said, well, I don't weigh myself. Rarely do I weigh myself. I know if my clothes fit. I'm not obsessed. And if I want that piece of chocolate cake, I'm going to eat it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to be something that's over here and now I'm just unhappy because I think I can't have that. That doesn't work. It's a difference in lifestyle and thinking. And thank you for disrupting all of this. I have no doubt you will. What can we do? Not what can't we do? We don't do well with those kind of prompts.
Mhm.
We're not really wired to do that psychologically all that well. And who wants to think, oh, willpower? Doesn't really work that way either. Now tell us what good nutrition means from our health and well-being from that standpoint, from your point of view as a nurse, because you must have seen so much in operating rooms. My gosh.
Yeah, in the emergency room, we would get, everything from high blood pressure, high cholesterol, kidney stones, diabetes, and most of it, if not all of it, came back from not having healthy eating habits established. And it's sad. Like, we are not set up for success to find ways to be nutritious. We have food deserts all over the country. This is not something that we're educated on, and no knock to doctors, but it is a very small segment of an MD's training to go through dietitian training, to go through training in your diet and how to modify things. And it is always about, okay, you have diabetes, you need to avoid this, that, and this. You have high cholesterol, you have to avoid these things. And it's less about, hey, these foods, if you can add these to your diet, will help as well. And yes, we should reduce this other thing, but instead of taking it away, replace it with something that's going to get you where you need to be healthier. And don't think about, oh my gosh, I'm never going to have a piece of cake the rest of my life, because then that's all you're going to obsess about. So I want to find ways where we can address nutrition before it gets to the emergency room, and and this starts with kids, right? How do we teach our kids about nutrition and diet, and how do we find ways to come together over, if that's the other thing, comfort foods tend to be very sugary, very fatty, very salty. I'm Jewish, and I can think back to all the things that bring me comfort. And what I've done over the years is find ways to eat those things I love with my family, but replace a few ingredients, maybe decrease a little of this, add a couple things of this. And so I can enjoy myself.
Love it. And you segued perfectly, because I was going to ask you from a mother's point of view. And you've already addressed that. If kids were taught real nutrition, how would that change everything?
Yeah. And it's not even just the nutritional part. There's a good thing to understand. Okay. And there's a great website. I can't remember the name of it. I'll have to circle back, but it talks about different colors of food for kids and what it does for you. So orange helps you see in the dark, orange foods like carrots. Foods like blueberries and blue foods have antioxidants, which keep us healthy. And talking about the different colors and making it fun is really good with kids. And then with kids, we want to set them up to adjust their palates as well. It was really hard to come off of growing up in the 80s and 90s, a palate that was used to fast food and processed foods and things like that. But once I started incorporating vegetable, I don't think I ate a green vegetable until I was like 16 or 17. But once I did, I loved them. So having kids try different colored foods and trying different things helps set them up for success later and have it not be so foreign, and it helps develop their palates early too.
Ooh, for all the parents listening, how cool is that? We know eating more colors and richer colors have more antioxidants. How fun. Now, you shared with me 2 things that you want to share with our audience today concerning D's. So the first D is data, and the second is dreams. So would you educate us about what you call data-driven decisions and how you can have everything you desire, just not all on the same day, probably?
Yeah. I will start with data. I'm obsessed with data. career before this, actually, I have also a consulting firm called Alpha Data Strategies. And we are basically a fractional chief data officer for organizations. So we have data living everywhere in our lives and our businesses, but we're not using it to make decisions. And that is really the only thing that should be helping us make decisions. So in my business, in my life, I always try to take all the data in and process it and see, okay, what's going to get me the outcome that I want? So data, my entire life is data driven. And that doesn't mean that you can't take risks either. You can take a risk in your life, even if the data says you have a 10% chance of success. But what success looks like is everything you've ever wanted. Why not take that chance? And that's what I did with starting a food business. Very few food businesses make it. I knew that it was going to be hard, and I would have to be one of the few people to be able to cut through, especially with no experience. But I'm also not risk averse. I'm a gambler by nature. So.
That don't be a poker, maybe, honey.
I have no idea. But somebody who's less risk averse can use data in a way to assess, taking lesser risks and finding out, okay, what's the percentage of success in this scenario? What can I do to maximize my success? I love data. And yeah, you talked about dreams and living the dream. And I feel like we talk about this a lot as women. How do you do it all? How are you an entrepreneur, a wife, a mom? I have 2 Australian Shepherds. I love to play tennis. I love to keep fit. I love my Peloton. I have a romantic relationship with my Peloton, honestly. It's a little unhealthy, but I digress. How do you do it all? And I got a really great answer to that when I was in business school, and I was working for a small urgent care company back in the day. It's now very large. And I was in business school, and I had a 1-year-old son. My first boy was 1 year old while I was in business school, and he was sick. I had a huge project due for business school, and there was a whole bunch of dropping at work. So I called my advisor crying, saying, I'm going to fail this paper. I can't get my work done. My kid needs me. And he said, stop. Just stop. You can do all of these things. You just can't do them all well all the time. You have to pick and choose. You have this stuff going on at work and you have a sick kid. That means you're going to do a half-assed job on your paper. And that's okay. You're not going to get an A on this paper. You're probably going to get a C, but you know that you're better than that. And what does it matter? It's not like you're not going to graduate business school. And that has really stuck with me. His name's Jim Emmerich. And every time I think about how am I going to balance this, I take a breath first and I go, okay, if my kid needs me, my kid's sick. One of my kids had surgery last week. Everything else is going to drop and it's going to wait. I might not hit a deadline. I might have to disappoint someone, but it happens. And you just kind of have to make your choice and move forward. And sometimes, like the last 2 days, I've been out delivering nonstop. I was gone from 6 a.m. until 7 p.m. and I wasn't there to pick up my kids and take them to school. And you know what? That's what I had to do to get the business moving those days. And most of the time I get a workout in because it clears my head and it keeps me healthy and it makes me more productive. But there were certainly a couple of days this week that I did not work out at all. And I'm going to move forward from it, but can't do everything 100% all the time. You can pick and choose what you want to do and you can do all of it, but it's going to come in dynamic waves.
Wow. Let's all take a breath. That's the way it's. Because as you said, some days priorities will just fall in place. Your son had an accident. That's number one. There's no negotiating around that. Oh, what wise counsel. What? Thank you. Now, my realm is communication. and you know this, you shared your secret to great communication and how you navigate all of your worlds. Tell us what that secret is.
Yes. So the secret I learned in high school in acting class. I had a wonderful teacher and mentor, Dr. Jan DeSalle, and she taught us about Sanford Meisner. And what he says is to put your attention on the other person. Now, for those of us who get anxious in social situations, we very much internalize and think about what we're going to say and how we're going to say it, and we prepare. But really, in communication, in business, in life, we should be focusing on what the other person is saying, and it's not even just the words. When somebody talks, you look at how they're saying it. Their words may be, "I'm fine," but if they're saying it like this, "I'm fine," then that is an invitation to find out what's going on and how you can help. And I really try to practice this as a wife, as a mom, as a business owner with my customers and my clients. I care about them. And it really helps me to connect, I think, on a deeper level. And I used it in nursing too. I mean, when you have a patient in the ER, the words are not even half of what you're assessing. And it's okay to be silent sometimes too. Silence is a moment. You don't have to fill the space. Sometimes just being silent and not responding right away gives someone that invitation to say what they really want to say.
Love it. Love it. And a lot of my techniques that I teach executives are from acting. Exactly, my acting and stage presence and all of that.
And it's funny, right? Like, I feel like people think that acting is being something that you're not. I truly believe that it's actually tapping into what's real in humanity, what's human. And a scene can totally change just based on what the person you're working with can, how they respond or how they deliver their line. There might be little nuances, and that's how it is in life too. You can't plan it all out. You focus on the other person and you listen.
I love that you said that, Sari, because some people even I've heard famous actors say what we do is fake. I object to that. Or someone said, well, you're not who you are. That's someone else. I said, it's not. It's empathy. Channeling that character. I've done my homework. This is real for me. My job is to bring this to life, this story. There's nothing fake about it. As you said, it's humanity. It's being vulnerable on that camera, on that stage. It's magic when we're in that moment. And those are some of the secrets. So thank you. Now, you shared some very exciting news for us before we got on camera. She has such an exciting announcement. You are growing. I understand that you are now in Bristol Farms. Yes, upscale, beautiful stores in Southern California. Oh my gosh, congratulations. And tell us the story of how you're growing and where you want to take your company.
I have huge dreams. I would love to take my company to just change the world. Like I mentioned, I want to be a disruptor. I want to have so many things that make it easier to be healthy for families and individuals. And Bristol Farms has been huge for, it literally saved my company. I have been doing farmers markets during the Palisades fires. I lost half my revenue. I didn't lose my home. Thank goodness we were safe. But that was half of my company's revenue. And I've been doing a couple small stores here in LA, but it hasn't been enough growth to sustain any profitability. And so once I got the call from Bristol Farms, this has been a game changer. Now, with Growth. Yeah, I know.
Got This is what it feels like as an entrepreneur when we get that big break. And then you know you can continue and it'll open up more. Oh,
And, I thought I was working really, really hard before to get here. I'm working a lot harder now. and that's okay. That's to be expected. But being an entrepreneur is not all sitting back and strategy and all that. So I was a delivery truck all week. As I mentioned, I was out driving and doing deliveries. That was for Bristol Farms to all 13 of their stores, from Palm Springs to Santa Barbara. And I drove for 2 days straight. I think I drove 14 hours each day. I probably drove close to 600 or 700 miles. And it was a lot of work that's adding on and change and flipping things up. But it's really exciting, and I'm excited to grow and do more, but the work doesn't really stop when you're an entrepreneur. The growth just means that you are shifting your efforts, and you probably have to work quite a bit harder once you get those big breaks, and I'm excited for it. I'm here for it.
through. Now, do you listen to great music as you're driving around all over the place? Do you listen to audiobooks? How do you amuse yourself as you're delivering your pancake mixes?
So half and half. I love music. I'm the type of person who will sit in my car alone, turn up the volume all the way, and sing and dance the whole time, which is quite a sight. I'm sure if you're driving next to me and you see this 41-year-old woman with pink hair rocking out in her minivan with the car seats in the back.
Guilty.
Yeah.
So I'm quite a bit older than you are, and, we can rock it. Hey, whoa.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. We got this. I think it's a sign of joy. And then I listened for the second day, I listened to some podcasts, like the How I Built This podcast, which is targeted at entrepreneurs. So I was going through all the different food businesses and trying to find out how they went through growth. So I love to learn. I don't have a lot of time to read. So this was a great opportunity to suck in some knowledge. And also I sat there and thought about all the problems that I'm going to have with growth, or opportunities for improvement. I shouldn't say problems as much, but so I made a lot of phone calls since I couldn't sit on my computer typing. So it was a lot of phone calls to like my kitchen managers who are working to help me facilitate this growth, the people who work with me in the kitchen to figure out how we can get enough production, trying to figure out how to increase my marketing. And then also I'm always saying, hey, Siri, remind me I need to do X, Y, and Z. So by the end of the day, I have a list this long of all the things I've thought of while I'm driving that I can't do. So.
Oh, the life of an entrepreneur. I love it. I can just see you driving your van around. Is your van pink? I mean, would you recognize it if we pass you on it?
I wish. No, I do have a little sticker on the left of the Hawaiian Islands with a shaka. It's a gray minivan, a Toyota Sienna. It's a hybrid. It's lovely. But no, I saw one of those VW buses the other day, the electric. Oh, I want to wrap that in pink with plumerias and a big Zen Stax logo. That's how you'll know I've made it, Dr. Miluna, is when you see that driving around. Then I've made it.
I hope those new VW bugs. I drove a Passat years ago. I've had only 4 cars in my life. I'm a car girl. That's incredible. So I'm going to be visiting LA. I'll be going to the Grammy Museum or the Academy Museum or something. And I'll see you. And we'll meet in person, and we'll have pancakes and healthy things, and maybe not even healthy things, a few unhealthy things.
Yeah, let's do it.
Champagne. I mean, I could argue red wine. I can argue that it's healthy. I love it. Oh, it leads to too much fun. So we're going to wrap up, and we're going to ask, how can people reach out to you and ask you about things, buy healthy pancake mixes for their families, because you'll ship Right. Can you ship internationally? Where can you ship to now?
I haven't ventured the international yet. I do ship nationally. I've shipped to customers in Hawaii, to Florida, all over the country. We ship with dry ice and it's frozen and it's overnight. So shipping does tend to get a little expensive, but I do appreciate every one of those orders I get in. And we're now available at Bristol Farms, so you can find us there. I am at 2 farmers markets currently in Los Angeles. So the Calabasas Farmers Market, as well as the Brentwood Farmers Market. So Saturday and Sunday, respectively. And then on our website, you can order, if you're not too far from LA, it's super easy. And I'm a delivery truck. I will literally show up at your doorstep and deliver. Yeah. For the greater Los Angeles, Orange County area, hi.
Your pancakes are here. Ding dong. So if I'm understanding then, in Bristol Farms, it would be in the freezer section? Where
Right by the frozen waffles, you'll see our beautiful pouches. I wish I had an example with me at my desk, but our beautiful pouches says Zen Stax, and it is a frozen wet batter. So if you're like me, you have 3 kids who all want something different. One today wanted small pancakes, one wanted big pancakes, and the other one wanted waffles. It's the same batter. So, okay, one in the waffle maker, a small one on the griddle, a big one on the griddle. Bam, done. Check, check, check. Everybody's happy. And it was like no more work for me. So
so good.
I'm like my own biggest fan. It's a little embarrassing, but I really believe in my product. I think we have it 3 to 4 times a week. I'm obsessed, and I'm so grateful for the opportunity to have started this business and to be there for other moms and dads and families. And yeah, I'm very proud of what I've built. And yeah, I have no embarrassment or shame with saying
No. It's like what will make, I think it's refreshing. Not everyone has that passion. It will get into the success. When, I don't know, is there a word? I didn't look this up. Is there a word for people who love pancakes?
Oh, I don't know.
If there's a word for people who love pancakes,
Yeah, I need to find out what that is.
we'll have to look into that to the audience. Maybe some of you know, or we can make up a word for people who are obsessed with pancakes.
Yes.
So you can get your pancakes and they'll be healthy and lighter and fluffier, and you can make waffles or big pancakes or little pancakes or medium-sized pancakes. You can make whatever you want. And share with us the website, and if you could also spell that out for us.
Yes, it is www.zen, Z-E-N, then a little dash, not the underscore, but a little dash, STAX.com.
Zen Stax it is. What a pleasure. This has probably been the most fun interview yet. I'm just thrilled. We've got our pink. We're in celebration of pink. And on TikTok, you're the pink-haired pancake queen.
Yes, and I post mostly on there questions, like, because it's just me. I'm in like this tiny little vacuum of the business world. So I'll pose questions out to the ether of like, here's my dilemma. Can anyone help me? Or if I learn something, there's so many things I learned the hard way in the last 3 years that I've had this business. So I try to put that all out there so that hopefully other people don't have to go through making the same mistakes that I did.
Fantastic. You're also on Instagram at Zen Stax, so you can also find her there with beautiful pictures and information. What a pleasure. I am just thrilled to hear you have now world domination at Bristol Farms in the waffle pancake section of the freezer. This is only going to open up. I have no doubt.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Thank you for being here.
This has meant so much to me, Dr. Miluna. Mahalo so much. I really appreciate it.
It is my pleasure. So to the audience, There you go. Healthy pancakes. I know. This is an answer to some of your prayers. And we're going to be looking up. Is there a phobia around pancakes? We might be announcing that. Don't forget to stay tuned for the next episode of Uplevel Your Communication. And we'll say bye for now. Bye-bye. Thanks for tuning in to our show. If you'd like to have a conversation about how developing your communication and presence skills will connect you to opportunities, impact, income, and fulfillment, let's talk about your future. Go to milunafausch.com and book a conversation with me. You can also find out more about my Forbes book and our podcast music, Strong Body.
Thank you for enjoying this content by Billionaires in Boxes. If you would like to be a guest or a host, be sure to get in contact with us at billionairesinboxes.com.